You're watching West Africa Community Television.
You're watching West Hartford Community Television.
You're watching West Hartford Community Television.
For the community, by the community.
Ning hao. My name is Peipei Champion. I'm the creator of Champion Chinese language program. Today we are going to talk about what American leaders can learn from Chinese history. So we are going to learn from few stories happened in ancient China and maybe nowadays. Okay, so the first story happened during the Warring States period in China. The kingdom of Lu attacked the kingdom of Zhou. The king of Zhou, Mu Gong, led the militia to resist the invasion, but the Zhou troops were quickly defeated. The common people rejoiced in the lost war. Mu Gong was very angry, so he said to Mencius that those barbarians were truly hateful. The country suffered a disaster, and the people don't feel a thing. This is Mencius. Okay, he is like the descendant, like the person who carry Confucius philosophy, and he is called the second sage of Chinese people. So he said to Mencius that those barbarians were truly hateful. Why they don't feel a thing when the country suffers a disaster? Mencius replied, at the harvest, you created schemes to raise taxes and violently rob the people. In a bad year, you took all the stored grain. You make people hungry and starve them to death. And you still want them to worship you. If the nation was yours alone, then the life or death of the nation would have nothing to do with the people. So this is Mencius' answer to Mu Gong. Okay, so we all know that people are born with the virtue of empathy and love. And when we see people are weak or when people suffer, naturally we have the empathetic, warm heart coming from us, and then we want to help. However, if people couldn't sustain their own lives, or they don't have enough money to educate their own children, it is very hard for them to think about others. And if government try to force them, take away all their harvest, all their hard work result, and then people will get angry. Okay, so what people should do, what the government or the leader should do is being encouraging. Encourage people's natural empathy, love for humanity, and then naturally they will give away what they can give to help themselves first, to support themselves first, and then help people. And when the leaders, when the government understand this very basic natural nature and virtue, natural of human being, they can be good leaders. The second story happened during the end of the Sui dynasty. So Sui dynasty, after the end of Sui dynasty, the father of Tang dynasty, the king Li Shiming, read the writings of the last emperor of Sui. Sui Yangdi is famous of being wild and careless of his people, and spend money like water, and so he lost his country. While reading it, Li Shiming was very surprised. He asked his minister Wei Zheng. He said, all Yangdi was speaking of concerned Yao Shun's philosophy of being a good king. Yao Shun were two leaders of ancient China. And Yao gave his throne to Shun, not because Shun was his son or relatives. It was because Shun was a very good person, an honest person, capable person. Okay, so Yang Di was studying how to be a good king. And Li Shiming said, why was it that he lost his kingdom in such a disastrous way? Wei Zheng answered, what Yang Di could do was talk about Yao Shun's philosophy, but what he was truly doing was mirroring Shang's last king, Zhou Wang's cruel and reckless policy of dictatorship. He treated his people like fools, and he blindfolding his people, torturing them. How could he not lose his country? From this story, we learn, even though you spend time learning how to be a good king, you know how to talk and even lie to people. Even you know how to say things to please people's ears, how to be politically right. The most important thing is what you are doing. People are not blind. But we all know some people will blindfold themselves because they have some agenda, personal agendas. They want to be to own a good platform, okay, or be the side of liars, and that those are different stories. But basically, people's eyes are bright, and people's are not full. So, a true, honest leader not only can express, not only talk, they learn from their mistakes. They admit their mistakes so that they can correct them. Okay? I used to hate history because Chinese history is so long, and then we were forced to remember who killed who and who married how many wives and this and that. And I just hated that when I was young. However, I truly understand there are so many things that we can learn from our history, and then we really should learn it and study it with our hearts. The third story happened during the Opium War. So during the first Opium War, the British Army conquered Humen and followed the Zhu River, Zhujiang, towards the north to Beijing. During that time, many hundreds of thousands of local people gathered around the Zhu River, Zhujiang banks. They watch coldly, calmly staring at the soldiers fighting the barbarians that at that time they call the foreign intruders. They watch it as if they were enjoying watching a circus. When they saw soldiers jumping into the water from the sinking ships, which belongs to China dynasty, the Qing dynasty, their own country, they screamed and shouted with joy and happiness. The general of the British Army saw this and couldn't understand why. He then asked the interpreter, the translator by his side. The translator say, when a country doesn't know how to treat and protect its people will not know what a country should mean to them. I feel sad when I read this story. When people are happy that their country were being attacked or taken over, what does that tell us about this country? Do the leaders will ask themselves what have they done or what they haven't done for the people? And at that time, a scholar, Kong Zizhen, he screamed. He tried to raise the awareness of the Chinese people. He said, the death of our nation and the extinguishment of our race are coming. Can't you see the signs? What are the signs? He said, there is no clean official in the government, and there is no capable officer in the bureaus. Soldiers are cowards. Generals are incompetent. Leaders are liars, and the people don't know how to behave as law-abiding, productive citizens, and even the robbers rob just to be evil. I believe every leader of any nation should ask themselves, have they experienced the situation like this? Shouldn't they feel shame? Or should they just make a decision and try to save the nation, lead the nation properly and prosperously? Well, there's let's come to nowadays. There is no difference even today. The scholar of Beijing University, Qian Li, said, nowadays the elite colleges cultivate self-centered young leaders who only selfishly celebrate individualism and behave politically right. They are the leaders of our world now. They occupy our nation's most important positions and titles. They abide with powerful organizations or political leaders, cheat in the scholarly world, wrongfully lead the nation to a crooked destiny. They control the housing market and the stock market. They flocked with outside foreign forces to take advantages of their own nation and their own people. The entire nation knows that. Beijing University, Tsinghua University, and Fudan University, all these elite schools produced traitors of our nation and humanity. And most of the party leaders are from these elite schools. This is the statement from China's scholar. How about America? What happened in America? What about our elite schools? Do our elite schools produce students and future leaders who just try everything to put everything wrong, all the mistakes they created or they inherit under the rugs? Do they try to raise the hatred among people? What is the principle and philosophy they are based to lead the nation and their people? Do American elite schools cultivate people like that? Only celebrate individualism and only knows how to behave politically right and are afraid to speak the truth. Well, 孔自珍 son, 孔半伦, he was the person that led British Army and the French Army to the land of China during the war. The 8 nations gathered together to attack China during the Opium War. Kong Zizhen was a very respected scholar, and his son did that. And furthermore, he became the translator of the representative of those British and French army. So he was at the table to argue, to reason with China. He was very arrogantly. He behaved so arrogantly that the Duke, Gong Qing scolded him. 4 generations your family has received graces from the dynasty. How dare you become a traitor today to harm your country? Gong Banlun answered, we were all good people. However, the roads to a positive future were all blocked by you, government officials. You legally robbed and steal from us. No matter how hard we have worked and earned, we could not clothe ourselves as we wish. And we did not have enough food to feed ourselves. We do not have extra money to educate our children as we wish. You have taken all the profit from us. We then needed to turn to the outsiders. Today, you condemn me as a traitor. I will call you all our nation's rotten rats. So, what have we learned from those? Leaders or future leaders need to think there is a lot to learn. We can learn from Chinese history. Chinese history is recorded by Chinese people for thousands of years in traditional Chinese script. And almost all of them are annotated by the traditional phonetic 注音 or called Bopomol sounding symbols. Through effective teaching of the traditional 注音 or bopomol symbols, all people can easily acquire the traditional Chinese script. And then they will have the tool to study the unbiased, not politically altered, real Chinese history and philosophies. We have a lot to learn, and we have a lot to think. All people, especially now, American leaders, we do have a lot to learn from Chinese history. I hope you enjoyed today's story. And then we will talk about more stories in the future, and I will introduce you more speedy method that we can acquire the true traditional Chinese script and the true tool to lead you to this language world, Chinese language world, and the beautiful ancient Chinese civilization, 注音 symbols, very soon. 再见, I will see you soon.